Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com, this webcast on YouTube. And we're going to be covering the last four races at Santa Anita, which are the last four races in this two-day online contest on HorseTourneys.com, where the winner will get over $153,000. My name is Bill Downs, and my analyst to, I guess, my right is Chris Larmey. Chris, NHC Hall of Famer, how are you? How's your day going? Big day of racing, a lot of Kentucky Derby preps, and a lot of great racing from across the country.
Yeah, it really was a good day to be a racing fan. Lots of big prices on the board, so a lot of commotion and noise and motion on the leaderboard. But the smoke sort of cleared heading into these last four races, and we've got a leader now that's managed to separate himself a bit from the field.
Yes, Lucas Van Zandt has the lead, $234.94. Has a little over a $26 lead, almost $27 over Anthony Matera, who's in second. Jim Settles in third, and then it goes down to fourth, fifth, and sixth are closely bunched. But Lucas Van Zandt had the last winner at Santa Anita before we came on the air at 7-1. General Mathis, as you can see right there, and the fifth and seventh, the new fifth and seventh place leaders are now within striking distance, but Lucas Van Zandt does have a pretty big lead. You mentioned the chaos, Chris. There were a lot of long price horses earlier for the handicappers. When we started the day, the first three contest races were all horses at 11-1 or higher. There was the horse in the Commonwealth Stakes at Keeneland, Hear My Song, 11-1. Trying My Heart Out, it was a limit horse in the win position at Aqueduct in the fifth race, and then the first at Santa Anita, One Flew South, a 17-1 upset winner, but that wasn't it. There was other horses like Doppelganger in the Carter Stakes, the 17-1 shot, who won in a 6-horse field and paid that big price. We just had a huge upset in the Wood Memorial with Lord Miles, who was a full cap horse, and Awfully Naughty at Santa Anita, the fifth race, the Charlie Whittingham Stakes, a Turfway Invader won at 11-1. So those are a lot of huge price horses, Chris, that the handicappers could have landed on, and the scoreboard is exploding here on day number 2.
Yeah, and that's what you have to sort of expect on that second day. Usually the racing is better on Saturday, and fields are bigger, and some of the prices reflect all that.
Handicappers, though, always have to be on their toes. Sometimes weather can be a factor. Now, it's not really weather, but they had a little bit of on the turf course at Santa Anita. A couple of horses slipped. Now, they're all right. But Santa Anita decided a race before their pick 6 started with that mandatory pad. I know handicappers know about that. But they took off the remaining turf races after the slipping incidents, and now horses are coming out of those 2 races, and there's some scratches, and it's important because our final 4 races, 2 of them were on the turf. Now they're off the turf. And the last race is now down to a field of 5. And that's going to affect big time the strategy of what handicappers are going to do. They're going to have to move now and try and make a move, because that last race, there's going to be a ton of people just, taking darts on the longest shot in that race.
Yeah, and the longest shot might be 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah, so exactly.
It could turn out that it's completely boring. If Lucas can keep his lead, he might be untouchable even regardless of the outcome. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, because in this format, you don't play every race. You only play half the races, and some of the players have saved plays for all 4 of the remaining races, and some have, 2 or 3. And Lucas is one with 2. So several of the players are going to get a couple of shots at him where he doesn't have a play, and it'll be interesting to see if he saves one for that last race, or he tries to, get his picks in and then hope he has enough separation where that last race doesn't matter.
As you can see on the leaderboard, Lucas does have 2, as Chris mentioned. As you can see, 3 of 30 remaining. Anthony's got 3 picks in the final 4 races. You go down to Paul Sherman, Thomas Blosser, Dylan Donnelly, they've got, as well as Bruce D'Agostini, they've got horses to pick at all 4 of our remaining races. And so they have a little bit of an advantage because they can, they don't necessarily have to go for, big prices. They can kind of do what they want. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if we can close the gap a little bit from, Lucas has got a pretty good lead, even with just 2 picks remaining. The money is first place 153,000, second place is 61,000, third place a little over 30,000, fourth place just about 23,000, fifth place 19,000, sixth 17,000, seventh place 15,000. It goes all the way down to 20th. But when you get in the top 7, the top 8 are all 5-figure payouts, and obviously the winner will get $153,090. But that's some pretty legitimate money right there, and we'll see if at the end if Lucas has too big of a lead, will people be going for that second spot, as opposed, they might not have any choice, but we'll see how it all plays out. But people will start taking a look at, well, I might be able to get an extra 8,000 or an extra 31,000, and they might be more practical in their picks as opposed to just throwing darts.
Yeah, I know that many of them will be thinking about that right now. Just moving up, if you're in the top 5, every spot you move up can be, 5 figures in some cases or more. So, they'll be conscious of that. And I think what you'll see them try to do is to close the gap, not try to close it all at once, so that at least into that last race, if they could, be within maybe $10 or $15, they can have a horse that gives them a live shot at winning, especially if it turns out, Lucas doesn't have any play at all in that last race. But even if he does, they still have a shot.
Absolutely. Players Championship is a 2-day contest on HorseTourneys.com. Handicappers had 15 picks to make from 30 races each day. The 4 racetracks: Keeneland, Gulfstream, Aqueduct, and Santa Anita. And Santa Anita has their big Santa Anita Derby card today, so they have a huge 12-race card. We're covering the last 4 races on the Santa Anita program. We got about 11 minutes to race number 9 from Santa Anita, and this is I think it's our biggest field remaining now, with a field of 9. And let's talk about some of the contenders in here. I was glancing at the Will Pays and Lovesick Blues, the 7, who was a morning line of 4-1. It looks like he's going to be the favorite in here, Chris. Certainly fits. Was in a turf race last time out. Not really that great of a router, so I thought that second place finish was pretty strong. All 5 of his wins have been in sprint races, some on turf, some on dirt. But he likes to come from a little bit off the pace in sprint races. At least that's what I think will happen in here. Lovesick Blues currently on the board at 3-1. I think he comes down a little bit from that. So I don't know how many handicappers will play him, but maybe at the top of the board, some of them might. What are your thoughts on Lovesick Blues as a pick, and what and strategy wise? What do you who would take Lovesick Blues in this spot?
Well, I think he has a shot, but I don't see him being any kind of a strong favorite. So unless, some people may have a different opinion, but if with that opinion, I would expect to see them look elsewhere. There's probably horses with just about as good a chance or better that will be better prices. So I don't expect to see a whole lot of players on Lovesick Blues.
Yeah, I tend to agree in there. A horse that's not really getting a whole lot of support. That's coming out of came out of a really nice race, San Carlos last time out. Clem Labine finished 6th of the San Carlos, and then 2 starts ago finished a pretty good second. And allowance optional claimer at Santa Anita on February 19th. He's not getting too much support at the windows. What are your thoughts on Clem Labine?
Yeah, he was a morning line favorite.
Yeah.
So it's a little surprising. To me, he looks a lot like Lovesick Blues, and he could win.
Right.
But there's a whole bunch of horses in here that I think could win and have about the same chance. And I would probably look elsewhere. Although at that price, I would choose him over Lovesick Blues just based on price, because I don't think either one is, that much better than the other.
A couple horses come out of the same race. Joe Don Looney and Manitowish come out of the race. And Next Revolt come out of the same race on March the 4th. Didn't look like a race that was a ton of early speed. Next Revolt didn't break very well. Not that he's necessarily a need to lead horse or anything like that. Joe Don Looney went to the front end in that race on March the 4th and won. But I don't think he's going to get the lead in here. So Joe Don Looney is a thumbs up or thumbs down for you, and I guess I'll throw Manitowish in the same boat.
Well, and Next Revolt, right? All three of them.
Yeah.
Not a lot separating any of the three in my mind, so it's going to be kind of a recurring theme. I guess if I had to pick one of the three, I would maybe go with Manitowish, but not by much. And given the prices, there's not a lot separating them or separating those three from the other two we talked about. I'm kind of sounding like a broken record here so far, but there is a horse I like when we get to him.
Oh, I know, and I've been trying to play it up a little bit. You mentioned off air before we came on that you liked a horse, and I said I like a horse too in this race, and I haven't mentioned him yet. And then I said, and then you mentioned your horse is getting a little bit of play off the morning line, and I think the horse that we're talking about is the 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, Teton Valley.
Teton Valley. So talk about what you like about this one, and I'll add in as well, I guess.
Well, first of all, he'll be forwardly placed in a race where, typically these dirt sprints are favor the front runners, and there's not a lot of speed in here. So tactically, I think he's good. He's got an aggressive rider in Maldonado.
Right.
So that should fit him. And, as before he went on a layoff, he became a really good horse for 3 or 4 races there before he something went wrong. And any of those races just crushes his field, I think. So, and its last race, he's had one comeback effort where he showed some speed, had a little trouble. It was on the turf. He's tried the turf before, and he's never run well on it. So clearly that was just a prep. And, I expect to see him run much better second off a layoff back on the dirt. And I think he could just dominate this field. So,
yeah.
And he's not a big price, 4 or 5 to 1, but there's not, to me, he's much better than all those other horses that are kind of at a similar price. And so, that's definitely where I would go probably, unless I'm looking for a really big price. It would be with the 4.
Yeah, I agree. Turf to dirt angles, what I wrote in my comments, 0 for 6 on the turf, nothing in terms of in the money finishes. He was on the turf last time out. A horse that was battling for the lead came over on him, made it tight. He had to take up and try to re-rally, did so a little bit in upper stretch and then faded. But that race was off a very, very long layoff. And in this race, it looks like there's not that much early speed for a race of this caliber. And I think Teton Valley is a pretty strong pick for me. And I'd probably be, if I was in the contest, probably playing him in this race. Also, I guess we should also mention that Joe Don Looney race. There was also the 6-horse Self-Taught. Huge long shot at 21 to 1, and it's not going to be too many 21 to 1 shots that at least look like they fit the race. Self-Taught is a deep closer. Now, if Teton Valley makes the lead and it's an easy front end, it might be the same situation as Self-Taught, not getting a huge pace to run at. Likes to come from the clouds. But at 21 to 1, I'm guessing people on the second page of the leaderboard and below are certainly going to be taking a strong look at a horse like that.
Yeah, he's had some good races, good enough to win this. He just seems a little bit off form, and that deep closing style without a lot of pace to run into is probably not the way to go. If I was looking for the price, I would go with the 8-horse.
All right, we'll talk about
My Harbor. My Harbor's Dream, who is another one of these that's clearly, I think, better on dirt than turf. It comes off a turf effort, and his best race is fit. Has more tactical speed, and if he gets the trip, there's no reason why he couldn't win. I don't think he's that much less likely to win than any of them that we talked about, other than Teton Valley. So, I that would be the one I would go with, the 8-horse, My Harbor's Dream, if I was looking for the price.
Last race, he was dead last at mid-stretch, rallied mildly for 7th, but had too much work to do. And then, like you said, all of his wins have come on the dirt. So just like Teton Valley, the surface switch is going to be, I think, crucial for him. And a winner 3-back in a condition claiming race is a much tougher race, but at least he won it in the right way. And then last time on dirt, pressed the pace and then faded back to 4th. So it needs a little bit better performance in that race 2-back. But at 20-1. There's not going to be too many 20-1 shots. The remaining of our 4 races, especially the last race, with that race coming off the turf, and now the 10th race coming off the turf. The field size not as plentiful as it was going to be when we were looking at these races about 3 hours ago, and just changes the strategy. But handicappers, no matter if you're betting real money or if you're playing in a contest, sometimes have to do things on the fly, and that's what they're going to have to do in races 10 and 12. So let's take a look at, we've talked about the money for overall 153,000 for the win, but day 2 leaderboard is not too shabby. Each day, the first place of the 243 people get $10,361. And right now, Thomas Blosser is in the lead, $183.74.
Wow.
That is something else. That's a big handicapping. And now look who's in second. Lucas Van Zandt, $172.94. Stephen Meyer is in third. Anthony Materas in fourth. Stephen Meyer, I know he's had a couple big prices today. He is in fifth. So it's $10,361 for first for the day money. Second, $6,379. Third, $3,189. And fourth will get $1,063. And Lucas Van Zandt is not only looking to take home the overall big check of $153,000. He might get second, or might get the day 2 money, I should say, with the $10,361. So we got about 1 minute to go before this 9th race, and they should be going to the gate here momentarily. Chris and I both like this 4-horse Teton Valley, who we think is going to be forwardly placed in this race, currently on the board at 9-2. I thought Love Sick Blues would come down another tick or two. He's now down to 5-2. Clem Labine is second choice at 3-1. And then Manitowish is the 4th choice at 5-1. But just to recap, I guess, Chris, you like the 4. And then if you're going for a bomb, you're gonna go for the 8-horse at 18-1. Is that my correct assessment from what?
Yeah, that's the way I play it. I think most of the players will be, if they're going for a price, either one of those price horses, you'll see some of those chosen, especially farther down the board. And I think most of the other players will play one of the other horses beyond the 2 favorites, I would guess. We'll see. Yeah. It could be spread out among those. Like, we like the 4. That's who we play, but some of them might have strong opinions on some of the others that are all, to me, look all about the same.
It's tough if you only got 2 remaining to play. If you're not Lucas Van Zandt, and even if you are, you're probably not going to play, the 7 or 9 in this race. The only ones who I think could play the 7 or 9 would be the people that have all 4 remaining and trying to, when everyone's zigging, you zag. And, you still,
like a Paul Sherman. Paul Sherman is the type who might just try to move up, right, on this one.
Yeah, if he likes something, or Paul will do anything if he likes a horse, and he's not afraid. As you saw, if you're watching the webcast on day 1, he took like a 16-1 shot in a short field and got second, and moved up into the lead and got the day money on day 1. And he's right now in 9th, still within striking range for sure. But we'll see what happens with Paul's selection and what. Who else decides to get in this race? Because as you can see, not everyone can play these final 4 races, and that last race is just a field of 5 now, and that's going to play into the strategy as well in this Players Championship. on HorseTourneys.com. This webcast on YouTube as the horse is going to the gate for this ninth race at Santa Anita. But it's interesting to, I'm interested to see the strategy, how players are going to take a look at this. I think it does play a big factor how many selections you have left in terms of what you can do. So I think you would agree with that. Also, just real quick, players are not only going for the big money, the $153,000 check. They're also trying to accumulate some points. This is this leg number 2 of the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. The first leg was the FloCal Face-Off in the wintertime. We're in the Players Championship, and then the third leg of the Tourney Triples, the Spa and Surf Showdown on August 5th and 6th. Of course, that's Del Mar and Saratoga. You accumulate points in all 3 contests, and if you have the highest point total, you'll receive a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge berth as well as an NHC berth. Second place finisher in the points total gets an NHC berth, and the third place finisher gets a big one berth at Horse Tourneys. That's a really great contest with a lot of spots for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge as well as the NHC, as well as money as they are loading up here for the 9th race. Favorite at 5-2 is the 7-horse One Silk. Is Lovesick Blues, and second choice at 7-2 is the 9 Clem Labine, as Clem Labine goes in, and we're ready for a start here in this 9th race at Santa Anita, and we'll find out right away who is what everyone else is doing in here, and they're off, and looks like our 5-horse trying to go for the lead, but our 4-horse Teton Valley going for the lead, but now Joe Don Looney is up the inside, and our leader did not pick anybody. Anthony Matera's on that 4-horse Teton Valley. Jim is in third with Clem Labine. Gary used Joker Boy the 5, and Bruce D'Agostini, who had horses to pick in all 4 races, did go with the favorite Lovesick Blues, but it's Joe Don Looney with the lead.
Yeah, with the 4 in a nice stocking spot, and let's see what the fractions are. At least we're getting some fractions pretty quick, 21 and change. That's going pretty fast for this level at 6.5 furlongs. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Justin in 14th used Joe Don Looney, and does have the lead, but now closing in on the outside looks like Lovesick Blues coming 3 wide, 43 and change. That's wicked fractions.
Crazy.
But Joe Don Looney's trying to hold, but here comes the favorite Lovesick Blues on the outside with the 16th to go.
Wow, if those fractions are right, that's just ridiculous. Crazy fractions.
Okay, so 7 and 1. Lovesick Blues is the winner. He went off at 2-1. He will pay $620 to win. From my look at one of the ADWs that I like to use, I'm able to tell you what the win price is going to be. And so Lovesick Blues got all that money. You could see it in the wheel pays that he was going to go off as the favorite, and he got bet down to 2-1 and able to. He got a pretty good trip in there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, setting off those fast fractions. And Joe Don Looney ran great to finish second at 6-1. And in terms of Lucas didn't play the race, so he was out. But Bruce D'Agostini did play, and so should probably get $620 and might even get $4 with a not the Joe Don Looney and mid-price horse, but we'll see how that all goes. So he'll pick up a few spots. Probably he'll be in third, maybe second, but I would guess third. But track position is going to be very important here, as we mentioned, Chris, in terms of not the biggest field sizes in the world going forward. So you want to make a move now, and Bruce was able to do something like this because he had bullets in all 4 of the final races, and he used it on one of the favorites, the favorite in this race at 2-1, and we'll move up a few spots.
Yeah, and those few spots that's a lot of money going from fifth
that
to
right.
third.
You got that right.
That's not trivial at all. So, he was a big beneficiary. Also, I'd say Lucas really won out on that one because
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't make a pick and he still has the same lead. So
Yeah.
he's got to be pretty happy about that result. So I'd say he's probably the biggest winner of all, and he didn't even make a pick in that race.
Yeah, and his lead is still going to be about $27 over Anthony Matera, who chose the 4, who we like, Teton Valley. But there it is. It's official. Lovesick Blues, the official winner at 2-1. 620 is what I was told from my ADW will be the win price. Let's see if that's, I hope it's correct. Otherwise, I'm getting bad information. There it is, 620 and 360. So he'll get $9.80. And we'll move up a little bit there. So what, about 205. So he'll be in third. Yep, there it is right there. As you can see, almost the instantaneous update with the leaderboard. Bruce now in third, and he's got picks in the final 3 races, gets ahead of Jim, who has only got 1 pick remaining and did use Clem Labine in that race. And then moving up a little bit, was Russell Priola into 13th. And so we got 3 races to go. And like I said, we got a couple races that are going to be off the turf. We're going to have to play it by ear. But this is probably a good spot to take a little bit of a timeout, set the stage for the 10th race, the Monrovia Stakes, the race that's going to come off the turf. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more after the break. Got about 15 minutes to race number 10 from Santa Anita. It's the Monrovia Stakes, a race that was scheduled to be going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. But Santa Anita, midway through their card, took the last couple races off the turf. And the 10th race is one of those two races. And, part of our contest, we got 3 races remaining in the Players Championship, and 2 of those races coming off the turf, which is certainly not what everyone was thinking probably about 3 hours ago. But handicappers, no matter if you're playing real money or if you're playing in a contest, sometimes they have to think on the fly. And this is a race that they're going to have to think on the fly if they want to play. Right, Chris?
That's right. Everybody's in the same position, although probably some players were planning on playing those races and others weren't. So, there's a little bit of a disadvantage, but you always have to have a plan B and probably a plan C and a plan D. So in this case, at least plan B is in play for many of the players.
Absolutely. We're down to a field of 7. You could scratch the 4, 5, 7, and 8. Amy C was the morning line favorite, and not surprising they scratched her since she is basically a synthetic / turf horse. And currently the favorite, I glanced at the will pays, and the 2, a week at midnight, who was going to be a bit of a price on the turf. Now this race is off the turf and is the 7-2 favorite, and is a pretty strong favorite in the will pays, what I could see with the double and pick 3. So, Wake at Midnight is going to probably be the favorite when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Every once in a while when they have like a contest right now at Santa Anita, and sometimes in these later races, the contest players start making crazy bets like on doubles and exactas and stuff. So maybe we've got some player who made a great big chalk are the favorite from the last into Wake at Midnight, and that might knock the odds. So I'm guessing it'll be the favorite, but maybe not as strong as the double would indicate. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean the prices right now, Wake at Midnight's at 3-1. Big Summer's at 3-1. Legs Galore, the 10's at 3-1. Canoodling's at 7-2. So it is going to be a wide open race, just a little more guesswork than normal. And right now, as you can see with the leaderboard, Lucas Van Zandt still holds that lead. A little under $27 over Anthony Matera, is about less than a couple bucks ahead of Bruce D'Agostini. Bruce does have picks remaining in all 3 races, where Lucas and Anthony are going to have to sit one of those races out. And that last race is just a 5-horse field. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Lucas, I'm going to be interested to see how Anthony plays it as well. What races is he going to play? Is he going to, you always kind of want to have one for the last race.
Yeah.
And now, who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if anything happens in terms of the strategy, because some people might just say that last race could be won by, big favorite or something like that. It might not matter too much, but there's some real money on the line here, and the difference between second and third is almost $31,000. So it's nothing to sneeze at. It's not like going from 16th to 11th, where there'd be $3,700 difference. 31,000 is a real chunk of change.
Yeah, enough to get your attention. I think a lot of it will depend on what their opinions are in these next 2 races, if they have to pass one, because if they really like a horse in each of these races, I think they're going to play them. If there's one of them they don't, I'm guessing they'll save that last play, just because tactically, it's so nice to have that last play, even if it's a 5-horse field. Even if can't win, it might be the difference between second and third, or third or fourth, or fourth or fifth, and you'd hate to not have a play and have the person or a couple people behind you pass you up because you couldn't block them, or you had no pick in that race. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah,
a lot of ways to go.
And we have a big favorite in that 11th race as well, Faiza, who's undefeated for Baffert, and she's going to go off as, I think, a decent favorite, though there's a couple other really nice fillies in here. We mentioned the overall money, $153,000 for first. We're going to take a look at the day 2 leaderboard, and Thomas Blosser still in the lead with $183.74. Lucas, our current leader for overall, is in second with $172.94. Third, Stephen Meyer, $169.20. Anthony Matera fourth at $156.66. The day money. Each day, players, if top 4 finishers get day money, just over $10,000 for the day 2 leader at the end of our contest races. And then second will get $6,379. Third gets $3,000. $189, and the fourth place, $1,063, if I wrote everything down correctly. So that's a look at the day 2 leaderboard. They're in the paddock for this 10th race, the Monrovia Stakes, taken off the turf, which changes a whole lot in here. And currently the favorite at 5-2, Awake at Midnight. We probably should talk about her and lead things off. Coming out of a lot of big-time races, ran in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, didn't do very well, almost won the La Brea, had the lead in the Santa Monica. Just didn't fire really in the Beholder, but that was going around 2 turns. She does seem to thrive in these one-turn sprint races, and then she's doing that cut back in distance. What do you think about the 2 Awake at Midnight?
Yeah, I think she's definitely better sprinting, and she's definitely the class of the field on dirt. So she's I think a solid favorite. Will take some beating. She'll have to get the trip. Not much value there, but like we said, some of these players may be trying to move up one step at a time. So I wouldn't be shocked to see somebody go with her because she's not a overwhelming favorite, at least not yet. And she probably is the most likely winner.
There is a Calbred in here, the 9-horse Big Summer, who is very consistent, has finished in the money, first, second, or third in all 12 of her career races. She's won on turf. She's won on the dirt. Her last dirt race was a win down at Del Mar in an allowance optional claiming race for Calbreds. Likes to stalk from off the pace. There should still be a pretty good pace in here with a mare like Legs Galore, who we'll talk about in just a second. But Big Summer, probably better on turf, I guess. But in this field, I think, even though it's against open company, certainly is she's very consistent. And what do your numbers say about Big Summer?
On the dirt, I just don't see how she beats the favorite.
Okay.
I wouldn't give her a lot of a chance. I mean, if the favorite doesn't fire, maybe, but I think there's others I would much prefer.
Okay. Her only win, it wasn't the biggest number in the world on dirt, but she did have a little bit of trouble in that race, and at least she won clearly in the end. There's plenty of contenders in this race, even though, we didn't know this race was going to be off the turf this morning when we're probably handicapping. But right. Legs Galore, the 10 for Phil D'Amato. I remember that race at Del Mar. I thought she was an absolute cinch in that day, had the lead and just got caught, and then went off at his even bigger favorites in the Cal Cup Distaff for fillies and mares going down the hill, and had the clear lead once again, and then faded back to second, got caught in the late stages. Off the layoff, now she's run well fresh in the past, but basically known as a turf horse. She's had 2 races on the dirt, one on the fast track, one on a wet surface. Granted, early on in her career, didn't do very well in either one. She's going to probably get the lead in here, but what are your thoughts on Legs Galore, currently at 7-2?
Well, on the turf, she would have been, arguably the one to beat, probably clearly the one to beat. But, on dirt, I mean, her dirt races weren't very good, and you don't know if she's going to show that same speed on dirt, right? So it's kind of a wild card. If she does, and they go 43 and change like the last race, that probably won't help her or the other speed horses. But I think there's some other speed horses that are proven on dirt, and if she doesn't, have the same speed on the dirt surface, it might open it up for a price, to win on the front end.
Just like the 10 Legs Galore, the 11 Freedom Flyer is a mare that has shown quite a amount of pretty good running ability on turf. Winner last time out of the Wishing Well on turf, going down the hill in a restricted stakes race. She only has 1 start on dirt. It was a 3rd place finish. Wasn't the best performance in the world. And didn't get a lofty speed figure by any means. She's kind of in the same boat, but she's going to be a bit of a bigger price than Legs Galore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised that they didn't scratch because she just looks like a turf horse. But maybe they'll take a shot here. She might take to it. She might not. I wouldn't blame somebody maybe for taking a shot at a price, but not for me really.
A mare that I think moves up, even though she's done all right on the turf, but early on in her career, I'm talking about the 3-horse Canoodling. She won some dirt races, albeit in New Mexico at Albuquerque, and some races, but she won them real nicely, and she won a graded stakes race on the turf as well. But I don't think this turn back in distance in a spot like this is necessarily a bad thing at all. The 3 Canoodling I thought was a top contender in here, and she's currently on the board at 4-1. Juan Hernandez aboard for trainer Mike Pipey.
Yeah, the big question is she ready off a year layoff?
Yeah.
So, that's probably why she's not. I mean, she's actually taking more money than I expected, but she has a good workout. It's just whether she's ready or not. If she is, she could contend for sure because she has some good dirt races. So at least she has, the dirt form. She just doesn't have the recency. A couple of the others we've talked about have recency and they don't have dirt form. So, questions with all these horses, except for Awake at midnight so far. But there's a couple. I don't know why you're saving them for last. You're jumping around in a strange order. Maybe there's a method to your madness. But the 2 horses I kind of like, you haven't even mentioned yet.
Well, let's mention one of them, Elm Drive, who I thought was an interesting case study. Now, her last 2 races, not the best in the world, but one of them was a grade 1 in the test stakes, didn't get to the lead and faded badly. Same thing at Pimlico in a restricted stakes race, battled for the lead and didn't get it, faded in the last furlong. But you go back a bit, does have 3 wins on the dirt, started her career, won the Sorrento at Del Mar in 2021 as a 2-year-old filly, has some tactical early speed, and I'm guessing by your comments, you like the one Elm Drive in here.
Well,
especially
yeah, I mean,
price.
Yeah, she's a good price. She's got speed in the rail, and we saw a horse carve out 43 and change fractions and almost hold on in the last race on the rail. This horse has some class. It's fired off the bench. It goes first time to Motto. I think this horse is a great price. I'm really shocked at the price, to be honest with you. A little bit nervous about the price. But to me, a lot of it depends on what Legs Galore does. If she has her same normal speed, that could hurt the one's chances. But if the one can shake loose, it could be really dangerous. So I think she's dangerous speed.
With the rail, you got to go and then just see how
Right.
things are developing.
Right.
So you with that rail, your hand is forced a little bit, but certainly interesting long shot. I'm sure some of the handicappers are going to take a look at. And then Kirsten Bosch for Sadler won the La Cañada Stakes, going 2 turns. Finished behind Awake at Midnight in the La Brea. Likes to come from a little bit off the pace in sprints, and she seems to be one that you like as well. What are your thoughts on the 6?
Yeah, I mean, she's on the other end of the train. She's the caboose, and the one horse is the engine, and I kind of like that. If I can get a price on both, if the one shakes loose, it could win. If they get in a duel, it might set it up for the closer. So to me, those are the 2 at a price that I would opt for. Either one I like. If I had to pick one, it would be tough, but I would probably maybe favor the 6 horse just because she's cutting back and has had recent racing. And I'm a little bit worried about what Legs Galore is going to do, but I wouldn't be shocked at all, if the one wins, if it can clear. And I think both of them have to contend with the 2, who is the one to beat. So, if I was betting this race, I might be playing, those horses with the favorite and trying to beat the rest of the field. If I'm in a contest, though, I would go with either the 1 or the 6, probably the 6. But I'm expecting to see quite a few players on one or both of those horses in here.
Yeah, a lot of questions in this field of 7 with fillies and mares coming off of layoffs, and you got questions about Freedom Flyer and Legs Galore, whether or not they're going to like this surface switch to the dirt. This is the Monrovia Stakes, $200,000, a race that was scheduled for the turf, but it has been taken off the turf, just like our final contest race. Lucas Van Zandt has a lead, almost $27, has 2 picks remaining. He may or may not find a horse that he likes in this race. Be interesting to see. Probably would take some sort of a price shot in here, I would guess, if he's going to be involved. But it's going to be interesting to see who's going to play their hand in this race. And 2-1 favorite right now is the 2-horse Awake at Midnight, 5-2 second choice. The Calbred Big Summer does have a win on the dirt, albeit not the fastest speed figure in the world. And at 9-2 is the 10 Legs Galore. Look for Legs Galore and Elm Drive, probably the 2 fastest fillies and mares in this race. And it's going to be interesting to see who our contest players go for. And they're all in the gate for this race. And they're off. Looks like a good start for both the 10 and the 1. The early speed horses we thought would be 1-2 early on.
Yeah. Legs Galore definitely showing her normal or early lick. So those who see, we have some 6s and 1s all over the place, kind of like I expected in here. So one player did pick the 9, Bruce did, so he went with the 9. But top 5 or 6 are all on the 1 and the 6. So right now, the 1's battling on the lead. He's on the engine, not quite on the lead, and the 6 is the caboose. And the 2's kind of in a perfect spot right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, 21 and 4/5. The 1 and 10 battling, but now the 2 is
and the 9. And Big Summer's making a move, right, with the 2. Yeah. Here comes the 6 on the rail. We'll see if it has enough time to get up there. But right now, Big Summer and the 1 are battling it out. The 2's still fighting on.
Well, this is huge because Anthony Matera has the 1 Elm Drive and has the lead at the 16th pole. And Elm Drive, we talked about, Eric. Here comes the 6 on the outside.
Here comes the 6 on the outside. Oh, 1-9. So the 1-9. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a new leader, aren't we?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. That
Anthony Matera.
Yeah. That was
with
good.
The 1. And Jim Settle is going to move up as well, passing Bruce. And let's see here. In terms of the win price,
but that 6 horse not getting up at the end was
look
huge.
Look at the late money on the 1 horse as well.
Oh yeah,
was 12-1 and now goes off at 7-1. And my ADW says she'll pay $17.20 to win. So let's recalculate. So probably $17.20 and what, maybe like $8.25. So it's going to be real close, I think, whether or not Anthony takes the lead with that late money coming in on the 1 Elm Drive. It was 12-1 right before the gates open and pounded down to 7-1. But a filly that Chris certainly liked in here.
Yeah, what was big about that was just that finish for second. The 6 just missed getting up, and that Lucas had the 6. So
right.
That would have been a much different outcome. Now with that 6 just missing getting up, Bruce is going to be right there. So
yeah,
it changes everything. Just that nose, that 6, split second past the wire. The 6 was in second. So that was a big change in the outcome there.
Yeah, like I said, my information was correct. The last time I told you about what I saw as the win price, and when I'm looking at $17.20, should be the price that when it's made official. I didn't see anything in the stretch or anything like that would warrant any sort of inquiry. So just probably a matter of formality, but we'll wait until it becomes official, and that the place price is going to be the big thing, as Lucas had about a $27 lead. And as I mentioned, 1720 should be the win price. And it just, I didn't really see I can't calculate the win pools or the place pools off the top of my head. Just kind of looking, was it the favorite? So it should be a decent place price, but whether or not it'll be enough for Anthony to go into the lead, that's the big question mark here as we await this official pricing in here. But Elm Drive, reverting back to the form as a 3-year-old and as a 2-year-old, and I'm sure Phil D'Amato was not crying when this race came off the turf, and Elm Drive taking advantage of the situation. There it is, 1720 and 880, and yeah, look at this. It's tightened up, but Anthony does not go ahead of Lucas. $234.94 still for Lucas. Anthony is what, a buck 86 if my math is correct behind, and Jim Settle is another about $9 behind, and Stephen Meyer and Kenneth also moving up. As you can see, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place leaders now all used Elm Drive in this race. As things tightening up here, Chris, we're going to get some high drama. And we thought that Lucas might open up a bit and might be able to coast. That's not the case anymore. And but look at Jim though. Jim is stuck there at 3rd, so he's not a factor.
In fact, all 3, 4, and 5 are all done in terms of place. So it's not quite as bad as it looked. In fact, 3, 4, and 5 are all out. So, Bruce still has a shot there because he's got an extra pick. So he's going to get a free roll in probably this next race or possibly the last race. Now I think both Lucas and Anthony have to have a dilemma here, because they probably don't want to be without a pick in that last race if the other guy has one, right?
Yeah.
So they almost both are forced to hold that pick, so if I were Bruce, I'd be thinking of this as like a free roll to maybe, close the gap, because he's the only other threat right now behind them. You have to go all the way back to Tom. Well, actually, Tom Blosser has a one pick left, I think. So, yeah, I mean, the top 2 are in pretty good shape depending on what happens on this race. I'm guessing they'll hold their pick. But you don't know. Maybe one of them will assume that's what the other guy's going to do, and tries to get clever because he likes a horse in this race. So it'd be real interesting to see who takes a shot in this next race and who holds their play for that last race.
Yes, race 11 is the Santa Anita Oaks, Grade 2 event, mile 16th. We're going to have a significant favorite in Feza. We'll talk about Feza and the other contenders and strategy and everything else. You're listening to and watching the Players Championship from HorseTourneys.com. We'll be back after this timeout. Big race upcoming at Santa Anita. It's the Santa Anita Oaks, the 11th race, their penultimate race on their big Santa Anita Derby card, and also the penultimate race in the Players Championship. Coming up is a really strong race for 3-year-old fillies, West Coast prep for the Kentucky Oaks. And we do have a big favorite with Faiza. We'll get to her in just a second. But Chris, this is we got some strategy here. The top two are literally, let's see here, like a $1.86 apart, and then third, fourth, and fifth. The players who are third, fourth, and fifth don't have any picks remaining. So what does Anthony Matera do? I guess he has to take a look. Is he a big believer of Feza? If that's the case, you could get the lead if Lucas doesn't play the race and Lucas doesn't play the favorite. But then in the last race, there's just there's only a field of 5, but it might be, it all depends on what you think about Feza, I guess. Would you agree with that, or what would be your counter then?
I don't know. Even if they think Feza is soft, if they don't hit this race, they have nothing left in the last race. And if the other player holds on to his play, he has a huge advantage going into that last race. So it's really tough. I mean, there's no right or wrong decision. To me, it would come down to, is there a horse you really like? They're not going to play Feza, but is there a horse you really like? You might want to play this race because, there's some big prices on that board. Like, some of these horses that have a legitimate chance, like the 4-horse Cleekish or the 1-horse Venganza, or even the 6-horse Window Shopping. All those those horses have all kinds of potential. You don't know what kind of horse they are. And, they're big double-digit odds prices. And some of these players, down 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th on the leaderboard with 2 plays are going to be on those horses. If they come in, they could pass you up. So,
yeah,
it's a tough call. It really is.
Yeah.
I bet you they wish they had 2 picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's kind of like we got a chunk of Jim, Steven, and Kenneth who had nothing remaining, but they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And so the people that are behind them, are they going to try and just click up the leaderboard a bit, get in contention, and potentially just take a long shot in the last race if they don't pass Lucas or Anthony? Or do they just say, hey, we got to go, this is the race, because the last race is just a field of 5. I have to give myself a chance to win the 153,000 and take a 10-to-1 shot or something like that. But Feza's the big favorite 2-5, and obviously everyone down below that I wouldn't think would be using Feza at that price, even though she'll drift up a bit. But clearly Unhinged is going to come down a little bit. From 3-1 would be my guess from looking at the doubles and pick 3s. But those are the top 2, but a lot of different directions that you can still go in this race. I'm going to be interested to see what Anthony does and what Lucas does going into the all the variables that we talked about so far, and what they decide to do.
Yeah, because I think that most of the people like Paul Sherman, who has 2 picks left, and Dylan Donnelly, who has 2 picks left, those 2 guys, and they're within striking range, they're going to pick a price horse, and they're going to hope it wins, and that could vault them into the lead. Or it runs second, and that could maybe put them ahead of all those people who are dead on the board with their picks. And then they could move up into 3rd and still have a chance to win in the next race. So I'm thinking they're going to be on horses like the ones I mentioned, the 6-horse, the 4-horse, the 1-horse. Those are all horses that legitimately you could make, or maybe even the 8-horse. You can make a case for them winning this race. Feza's numbers don't lay over this field. Her record sounds impressive, but she hasn't really run any jaw-dropping speed figures, and these are all fillies, especially that have showed some talent in their previous races and could be anything.
All right, well, let's talk about the favorite. Get that out of the way. Feza, undefeated. Baffert, a daughter of Gervin out of a Smart Strike mare, undefeated all 4 races in Southern California. Has had some trouble at the starts in 3 of her last 3 races. Has tactical speed. Probably not the quickest in here. There's a couple quick fillies have got some sprint speed, but she's got tactical speed. Feza, 1-2. What do you think from just in terms of how good she is And obviously, from a contest perspective, not too many are going to be playing her.
Yeah. I think she's a big underlay. I mean, even if it wasn't a contest, I don't think she should be anywhere near 2 to 5, which is what she'll
No.
probably go off at. So I think there's like many of the horses I mentioned are just as likely to win and may ultimately be better horses than she is. She could prove me wrong. Maybe she steps up here, but I just don't think she's faced any really good horses yet, and there might be a couple of those in here. So we'll see how good she really is.
You mentioned, let's talk about a few of the others. The 6 window shopping right now, a pretty big price at 10-1. Got a pretty good setup last time out, but when you win by 16 lengths, I'm going to give you some credit, even at a race that got taken off the turf, and that's what happened on St. Patrick's Day with window shopping. But she didn't have the best trip in her debut on turf, and then made her dirt debut and crushed. She could be any kind, and she's one of 2 in here for Mandela. What do you think of window shopping?
Yeah, I mean, she's by American Pharoah out of a Tappet mare, so not shocking that she was able to run well on dirt, and she certainly looked good in her dirt debut. And you would think, and that was a 2 turns races, so she's been around 2 turns. She doesn't have that question. She's really bred to run 2 turns anyway out of a Tappet mare. So, I think she's as likely to win as Feza. I don't think there's a lot of separation there. She has to improve her number a little bit, but man, you expect her to.
The 8 horse, and Tell Me No Lies for Peter Miller, came off of the layoff, about a 4-month layoff on March the 5th, and finished second behind Feza. Didn't have the worst trip in the world, but and finished about a length clear for third. Can she make up those 2 1/4 lengths, and can she defeat the other fillies in this race?
Yeah, I think she's got upside. Again, she's more exposed than some of the others, so I'm not as excited about that one, but certainly it wouldn't be a shock if she were to win.
One that I'm high on is making her 2-turn debut, and she is the second choice in this race at 5-2. That's a 3 horse, Clearly Unhinged. I watched that race back on February 5th. I had to refresh my memory, and I put dominant as the comment. Now, she's taking on 2 turns for the first time, but has a good post. Could be on the lead in this race. Has inside position on Feza going into that first turn. Buy into Mischief out of a Smart Strike mare. Seems to have the breeding as well to go 2 turns. Are you high on Clearly Unhinged as I am, or do you have question marks about making her 2-turn route debut?
Well, that is the question, but she showed immense talent, and she ran a number that's superior to anything Feza's ever run in her first start.
Right.
But the question is she ready to go 2 turns off that effort? And is she going to get hooked early with the 1 horse who has speed? Well, it does seem like speed on the rail is not a bad place to be at the last 2 races. They were going fast, and both rail horses ran big races. So, if she could somehow clear and get past that 1, that would be ideal, I think. And she just might be able to run them off their feet if that happens. Or maybe, she can settle and, settle off the 1 and finish. But she's definitely, I think, the 1 to beat. But, they did enter her in a 7 furlong race that got canceled. So this was sort of plan B, and I do think that makes you wonder if she's ready to handle the 2 turns, but she certainly has talent and has been training well and looked really good in her debut. So, I would say she's the 1 to beat, not Feza. And, she's not 2-5. She'll be more like 5-2. So much better price. From a contest perspective, not so much, but
right.
If you were betting the race and or playing picks and things, I would say, she's definitely the 1 to beat.
There's a look at Clearly Unhinged trainer Michael McCarthy getting interviewed by Millie Ball at the track. But You mentioned a filly that won her debut. Now, she won a race by 4 1/4 lengths, but it was a match race, if you will. And the match races, you get the lead, you have a big advantage, and she did draw off and defeated her rival in there, and I have to emphasize rival. In that maiden race because there was no one else in that race. But she's certainly bred to like 2 turns by curling out of a Warfront mare. But is she ready to take on this level of competition in career start number 2? Not running as gaudy of a speed figure like Clearly Unhinged, and Clearly Unhinged, just like Vengaza, making her 2-turn debut.
Yeah, but a couple things. A, the breeding just jumps out at you. Curlin fillies have been just incredible, and they all get the distance. So you would think she should be better going longer, and Mandela doesn't necessarily send them out cranked the first time, and he's really good at stretching them out. So you would think she's got a ton of upside as well. And it kind of depends to me on what they do with the 1 and the 3. If they hook up, that's not going to do either one any favors. If there's a good chance though that one of the 2 is going to take back, and maybe both, because they're probably both connections are really nervous about whether or not they're going to get the distance, so they're not going to try to go, crazy early. So I think it could become tactical. And it really kind of depends on what those 2 do early. If they slow it down, it could be really tough to overhaul late, especially the 3.
So we'll talk about a couple of the other contenders real quick, but let's mention the day money: 10,000 for first, 6,379 for second, third 3,189, and fourth 1,063. And Stephen Meyer has the lead with 195.20. Thomas Blosser's in second, 183.74. Anthony Matera's in third, and Stephen Meyer is in fourth. But Chris, you mentioned this 4-horse Clickish as someone that had a little bit of a talent. Also going around 2 turns. She's bred for 2 turns. Bernardini is her sire by a Bellamy Road mare. Won a restricted maiden optional claiming race, but won it by 9 lengths. So even though it's not a straight maiden race, she showed some talent. She's on the improve, and she's also making her 2-turn debut.
Yeah, and her first start was against Clearly Unhinged, and she came late on that one, and she made a giant move in her last race, and she's by Bernardini, who's all distance out of a Bellamy Road mare, so she should get better with the added distance, and she looks like a horse that is a distance horse. I mean, and she's not going to be caught up in the early pace. She'll be one that will benefit, if the pace is early. So kind of like that last race where I liked, a horse on the engine, a horse on the caboose. It's sort of here the same thing. Maybe not the same extreme, but, Clickish is the one I think could take advantage of a fast pace, and like Clearly Unhinged, definitely benefit from a slower early pace.
And then there's 2 others in here. Big Prices, Don't Get Pickled, will be probably trailing early on. Will be running on late. Probably will need a very fast pace to finish first or second. And then Gila, the 2, won a maiden claiming race by 12 lengths. But this is a whole different type of race, going from maiden claiming into a grade 2 race. So those are the other 2 fillies in this race. But now, looking at this leaderboard, Lucas has the lead. Anthony Matera breathing down his neck. Both only have 1 pick remaining. Will either one take a horse in this race, leaving them naked, if you will, in the final race? What's your prediction on that, Chris?
I'm not sure. I'm going to guess that they both save their pick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess that Dylan Donnelly and Paul Sherman, the 2 biggest threats, will be on probably the 4, but possibly the 1 or the 6. But I would be playing the 4 if I were them. To me, that horse is a giant price, and if she runs second, you could get cap money for place, and if she wins, you'd be in the lead. So that's probably where I would go if I were them. And I'm in the top two will probably just cross their fingers and save their last play, but we'll see. You never know.
Loading up for the Santa Anita Oaks. Still got a couple left to load. 3-5 on the 5 Feza. Clearly unhinged. Second choice at 5-2. Window shopping the 6 is at 7-1. And then 9-1 on the 8. And Tell Me No Lies. Still got, 2 more left to load here. The Santa Anita Oaks, which is the second to last race on the Santa Anita Derby cart at Santa Anita, also the second to last race, or as I love to say, the penultimate race in our Players Championship, a 2-day online contest on HorseTourneys.com. 153,000 to the winner. They're all in the gate, and we're ready for the start of the Santa Anita Oaks. And they're off, and not the best start in the world for the 6 window shopping, but seemed like the favorite did go off to a decent start. And look at this. Lucas and Anthony say, no, we're going to wait for the final race in this contest. Bruce goes with the 8 and Tell Me No Lies, as well as Thomas. And Dylan Donnelly's on Vengaza. And there's Paul Sherman using the 4 Clickish, who Chris predicted that Paul would probably go with in here. So no one's really on the favorites, and on the front end is a 90-1 shot winner that made in claiming race, but going 22 and change.
Yeah, kind of like, okay, interesting. Fortunately, she didn't. The other real contenders didn't take the bait, although they might all be going a little faster than they think they are. 46 flats, pretty good for 3-year-old fillies.
Yep, and there's the 3s and second to 1.
Yeah.
Oh, one's got nowhere to go. Had to check, and there goes the 2 favorites.
Yep, 3 and 5, hooking up.
Russell Priola did use the 3, clearly unhinged. Would move up a couple spots in the leaderboard, but 3 is a big, strong second choice. But it's the 1 and the 8 who are in 3rd and 4th, but the favorite takes over Feza at 4-5 and puts away clearly unhinged in mid-stretch. It looks like she's going to go on to a comfortable win. Yeah,
in fact, it looks to me like she might be stamping herself as the favorite for the Kentucky Oaks here. She ran a lot better than I gave her credit for, and there hasn't really been any horses that have stood out so far in the run to the Oaks. So this may be your Oaks favorite based on this performance.
And the 8 held on for second, I believe, in that Santa Anita Oaks. So 5s and 8s, and David down in 18th used Feza, and
not sure about that. I'm not sure what the thinking was there, but
360 it will be the win price on Feza, and 2 something probably to place.
The place price won't be much on the 8, so the big winners in that race were the 2 leaders. Now they get to go head to head. Yeah, dollar separation, and advantage Lucas because he doesn't have to hit something to win if Anthony doesn't hit. Plus, they've got enough separation that they might not have to worry about anybody behind them. We'll see. Bruce is the one possible threat depending on what the biggest price on the board is.
Yeah.
So,
and then Bruce, could move up a spot if he were just to play play the favorite, but obviously wouldn't give him a chance to get the giant money, if you will. He'll just have to kind of see how the board plays out in that last race. And as we mentioned, it's only a field of 5 in that last race at Santa Anita, that race that got taken off the turf, like that 10th race. And we'll be talking about all 5 horses in that race in just a few minutes, but we're waiting for the official sign. Like I said, Feza 4-5 will pay $360 to win when it's made official. I didn't see anything just like the last race where it's going to anything's going to happen with an inquiry. It's just going to be the place price, and maybe David moves up from 18th to 16th or something like that. He could probably move into into 14th. But Lucas and Anthony are doing cartwheels at home, I would guess.
Well, they won't cartwheel until after the next race, I think. Right now, they're like busily trying to handicap that race that scratched down to 5 horses and figure out what they're going to play. So,
yeah, well, there's a look at the head-on. They're going to take a look at what happened because the one horse Vengaza. I don't see anything it could happen here, but maybe Vengaza moved. Yeah, they're blinking the 6, 3, and 1, so not the top 2, but that means there's going to be a delay here in the prices being made official because they got to take a look at this inquiry, even though it does not involve at this point the top 2 finishers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how the 8 horse pays more than $4 or $5 to place. So,
yeah,
with Faiza winning, she's probably had a lot of the place pool on her. So, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference in the leaderboard at the top. But certainly every spot you move up in that top 10 is worth some money to the players. So Bruce, he'll definitely move ahead of Kenneth. I don't think he's going to pass Steven in 4th. So he'll probably be in 5th. And Tom Blosser might pass Gary, and I don't know. I doubt it, but he might creep past him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the place pool since we do have a couple minutes here because they got to take a look at this inquiry. So I decided to pull that up. 122,794 in the place pool, 53,000 on Faiza, and then almost 18,000 on And Tell Me No Lies. Who finished second. It was a pretty strong, not as strong, but it was the 3rd choice in the place pool. So not chalk, but chalk and 3rd chalk. And when the chalk is 4 to 5, that usually means a depressed price, even on a horse that's at 6 to 1 that does finish second. But there's a look at Faiza for Baffert, going to the winner's circle, still undefeated, and she probably ran she ran her best race ever. In the Santa Anita Oaks, and she looks like she'll be a factor going forward in all these 3-year-old filly races.
Yeah, I agree. The thing I'm not sure about, though, is she's trained by Bob Baffert.
Yes.
He's in the winner's circle. I think he's persona non grata at Churchill, even for other races, including the Oaks. So maybe this horse can't go to the Oaks. I'm not sure about that. But I'm guessing that she will be going to the Black-Eyed Susan or something else, that she is probably not eligible to run in the Oaks.
Yeah, I don't know what especially at Churchill. So we'll probably find out. Usually when you win a big race, one of the questions they'll ask you, of course, is what's the next start? And I'm sure Baffert will be being asked that. But still an inquiry sign up. Just kind of stalling for time right now. Faiza is going to, give David, who is in 18th, a few bucks. We'll move up a little bit, but it's not that much in terms of money. Gives him a better chance to cash. And then after that, really, guys in 19th and 20th will pick up, as well as in 15th, Keith, Clint, and Allen. They'll get a little bit of money, but not too much. But no factor to the top 2. And even the guys 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're probably quite happy as well. But there it is. It's official. Thank you, Santa Anita Stewards, for making it official. 5 and 8 is your official price, and $362.40 and $4 for the place price for And Tell Me No Lies. But no change in our top 4. Bruce D'Agostini is in 5th and is about $19 or so behind leader Lucas Van Zandt, who has the lead. Anthony Matera just behind, got a field of 5 in the last race at Santa Anita. It's about 22 minutes away. We're going to take another timeout, and we'll go over all 5 contenders, talk strategy, and more. The final race in the Players Championship from HorseTourneys.com coming up in this last race from Santa Anita, and we'll go over everything after this break. It all comes down to this, the final race of the Players Championship. And it's the last race from Santa Anita. The handicappers, 243 entries, going for $153,090 first place prize. Second place, $61,236. And our top two leaders are within a couple of dollars of each other. Lucas Van Zandt has the lead over Anthony Matera, but as you can see, it's what a $1.86. So Lucas probably will play the favorite, I would guess, but you never know. Anthony has the decision to make, either to play the favorite or take a chance on one of the other fillies in this race, and I'm guessing he'll do that. But then third, fourth, and fifth right now, our third and fourth don't have a selection remaining, and Bruce does in fifth, but he's about $19 away. So we'll talk about the math in just a moment or two in terms of what Anthony can do and what Bruce can do, and whether or not Bruce is going to take a shot to potentially win, or whether or not with knowing that third and fourth can't do any better right now, Jim and Steven third and fourth, whether or not he goes for somebody that'll get him at least $9 or $10. I think for sure that's probably what he'll try and do. Whether or not he tries to go for Lucas's total at $234.94, I don't know, but we'll get Chris's opinion on that as well. But this 12th race, Chris, off the turf, got scratched out a field of 5, completely changing the dynamics and everything involved in this race. And we got a big favorite at 4-5, the 11 horse Ancient Peace.
Yeah, and the handicapping at this point at the top of the leaderboard is kind of secondary to the strategy in the contest, but 11 does seem like a horse with speed in a race where there's only a few horses and probably only one other horse with speed. So you'd think that's a big advantage, and it does look like the most likely winner. And so my guess is, assuming that's Lucas agrees with me in that opinion, he's going to go with that horse because he doesn't want to pass on that horse and let Anthony, take the chance that Anthony picks it and then goes past him. Now, Anthony probably realizes that, and he'll probably look beyond Ancient Peace at the horse he thinks is most likely to win, other than Ancient Peace. But that's kind of where the game theory comes in. Maybe Lucas tries to be really clever and says, well, I know that Anthony knows that I've got to play this horse, so I'm not going to play it. And I'm going to play the second most likely winner, and I might be able to block him with 2 horses. I'm not saying he'll do that, but you can do that sort of thing. And Anthony might think, well, maybe Lucas is going to try to do that, and I'll go with the most likely winner in case he tries to outsmart me. So it gets a little fun in there. But my guess is the way it will play out is that Lucas will take the 11 and Anthony will take some other horse. It's hard to tell who he will like beyond that one. Yeah. I have some opinions, but he may have a different opinion. And then Bruce is kind of the 2 horses borderline. I think the 2 horses, if the odds hold, even in the small field, he could get 20 points out of that and win the contest. So he could go with the 2 or the 7 if he wants to win. And, I would think you don't get that many chances to win $150,000. So he'll probably go with one of those 2, whichever one he likes best. And then the others are pretty much playing just to move up the leaderboard. And they'll probably just, pick the horse that gets them to wherever it is they're shooting for on that leaderboard. Because recognizing we've got like 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th places all with no picks. So right. If you're behind them, and you can get, there's a price that can get you into 3rd place, you might go for that, right? So, yep. That you might see a lot of them going for those same 2 and 7 because they want to shoot 15 or 20 points up the board, maybe get third place money, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Before we talk about the day 2 leaderboard, this 11 Ancient Peace is going to go off as a significant favorite. Just glancing at the will pays and the doubles, pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. The 11 is a significant favorite in those pools, and that's usually a pretty good indication, especially when you get all the pools have the same favorite and a heavy favorite, and that is the 11 Ancient Peace. So they're coming on the track for the 12th race. There's just a field of 5, 9 minutes to go. We got plenty of time, so let's take a look at the day 2 leaderboard. Get that out of the way. And Stephen Meyer, 195.20. Doesn't have anything left, but that's a job well done, Stephen.
Yeah.
With awesome. 195.20, that's almost like 3x or so. That's over 3x in terms of the starting bankroll. You're playing 15 races each day, $2 win and place, so that's $60. So yeah, that's over 3x for a win and place contest. Yeah, it's all optionals, but that's quite a handicapping score from Stephen Meyer. Thomas Blosser is in second, $187.74. Anthony Matera is in third, $182.66. And Stephen Meyer on his second entry, 175.44. So that's even more impressive, having 2 entries in the top 4. The day money. Now the day money is $10,361 for first, $6,379 for second. Third is $3,189, and fourth is $1,663. Another thing we could mention before we go over, we'll have plenty of time to go over these 5 fillies and mares in this last race, is the winner of this contest, the Players Championship, will be eligible for a $1 million bonus if they win the Spa and Surf Showdown in early August. The Spa and Surf Showdown on HorseTourneys.com is a big money contest on August 5th and 6th. And of course, Del Mar and Saratoga are the 2 contest tracks for the Spa and Surf Showdown in early August. And then the winner of the Flocal Face-Off, David Wolf, is also eligible for a $1 million bonus if he takes down the Spa and Surf Showdown. And then also another thing minor factors. Each of these 3 contests in the Tourney Triple, you accumulate points for finishing. And the higher you finish, the more points you get. You get 100 if you win it. And at the end of the 3 contests in the Tourney Triple, which is Flocal Face-Off, Players Championship, Spa and Surf Showdown, the top finisher will receive a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge entry that's worth $10,000, as well as an entry into the NHC. And the second place finisher will get an entry into the NHC. And then the third place finisher will get an entry into the big one, which is a really nice contest sponsored by HorseTourneys.com, where there's all sorts of spots for the BC as well as the NHC. And so that's something to shoot for as well, just in case you are in the contest and don't think you're playing for anything. If you're not in the top 20, you get a score, get a couple scores together, and do well in the third one, and then you have a chances to take down that potential Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge at NHC berth if you have the highest point total after those 3 contest races. 5 minutes to go in the final race. Let's mention what the favorite is, and that's the 11-horse Ancient Peace. Ancient Peace is interesting. She is a 3-year-old filly taking on older. She's been on turf in both of her races. She was trained by Graham Motion. They put her in the Keeneland January sale, and she was purchased for $650,000. Now in the barn of John Sadler by Warfront out of an AP Indy mare. Even though she is a 3-year-old filly going up against older, she showed improved early speed and in her maiden win, and she certainly looks like a deserving favorite in here. But in terms of the contest, I really think that all that matters is whether or not Lucas takes her or not. Other than that, I don't expect too many people to be using Ancient Peace. But others in here, Chris sort of mentioned what he thought about this filly, Ancient Peace. Let's go to maybe one of the contenders that our man Anthony might be looking at, the 12-horse Chloe's Crown, also making her dirt debut. But she took a big step forward for trainer Mike McCarthy in that maiden win in late January. There was a big favorite in that race, 1-5. And she had the lead in deep stretch. And Chloe's Crown, visually, I thought ran really strong. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not she takes the dirt as well, and if she's has got as much running ability on dirt as the favorite. What's your thoughts on Chloe's Crown in this race? And do you think Anthony will take a shot with her and try and pass Lucas Van Zandt in our final contest race?
Well, she's a wild card because, as is Ancient Peace, neither of them have been on the turf before. Ancient Peace has probably more dirt breeding. Chloe's Crown's out of a Kitten's Joy mare by Declaration of War. That breeding doesn't scream dirt.
Right.
But, she hasn't shown she can't run on it. But that's a big question mark. Do you want to have $150,000 riding on a horse that's never been on the dirt before? But you could say the same thing about Ancient Peace. So,
right.
That's why, even though it's a small field and those horses are clearly talented, and if it was a turf race, maybe they would be a little stronger. But there are question marks there, right? They're not a slam dunk by any stretch.
One of the long shots in this race that maybe Bruce would take a shot with is the 7-horse Precious Baby. Didn't get off to a good start last time out, but had the rail in a dirt sprint and finished ran dead last around the racetrack, but stretching out around 2 turns for the first time on dirt while putting the blinkers on. But her only dirt race was that last place finish, but it wasn't a 6-furlong race. I'm guessing Connections will want her forwardly placed. It's just a field of 5. But Precious Baby, a potential gate to wire threat?
Yeah, she is. She's just not really bred for the dirt, but
right.
She does have speed. And a lot of times the dirt horses don't like to kick back, but if they can get out on the lead and they're in the clear and they don't have any dirt in their face, with the blinkers on, stretching out, you got to believe, they want to go to the front. She got off to a bad start last time, so they don't want to see that happen again. But if she got the lead, I think any horse on the lead in here will be dangerous. I mean, she'll have to contend probably with the favorite. But I think, they'll want it more and they may be a little quicker. So, I wouldn't blame anybody for playing that horse because, based on will pays, she's probably going to be the longest price when they go out, open the gates. She'll probably be 8 or 10 to 1. And, that's the one chance you have to move up, I think, or one of the few chances.
The 5 Rose Barton, I believe, is going to be ridden by Frankie Dettori. At least that's what I saw on the Equibase changes. Kent was involved in an incident earlier in the afternoon. But Rose Barton, just like the 11 Ancient Peace and Chloe's Crown, making her dirt debut in a race. Didn't get off to a good start in her first start in the United States in early March. In her races in Great Britain, she showed a little bit more early lick, but they don't really go as fast. What do you think about Rose Barton?
I don't understand why she's in. She's a complete turf breeding, top and bottom. And she's, like you said, these Euros typically aren't that quick out of the gate. I don't get it. This is one of the first ones I would have expected to scratch, but maybe they know something, right? Maybe they think she trains well on the dirt or something. She definitely had a terrible trip last time. If this was a turf race, I'd probably be all over this horse, right? And
right.
Probably the next time she runs, when she gets back on the turf after running around the track and last year, I'll be betting her in that race. But boy, I couldn't touch this one. So I probably just put her in the winner's circle.
And then the 2 Active Serendipity, both of her wins on dirt and in a race with a lot of question marks. I guess not the worst, longest price horse to use in a race. And we'll see if Bruce decides to maybe fire his bullet on the 2. But what are your quick thoughts on her?
Yeah, I mean, she actually has run on dirt, right? She's got the best race in the field on dirt, and she's one of the longest prices. So why not? I mean, you don't know what these other horses are going to do on the surface. At least she's shown that she can handle it, and she gets the rail, and the rail's been pretty good today. So, yeah, why not? I would expect to see many of the players on either the 2 or the 7 in here.
Yeah.
Now, except for maybe Anthony and Lucas. Although,
yeah.
if I were Anthony, that's where I would be on. Lucas, it kind of depends on, it's tough. I'm sure they're sweating it.
And the 5 almost rears, but good job by the assistant starter. So we'll find out real quick once the gates open what Lucas and Anthony did and what Bruce are going to do. And they're off, and the 11, the favorite, gets to the front end. And it doesn't look like it's going to be too stressful for her early on. And just as we expected, Lucas on the 11, Anthony's on the 12.
Yeah, kind of exactly what you'd expect. They didn't surprise us there.
Right. And then Bruce is on the 2 horse, Active Serendipity. So at 8-1, that looks like it'd probably be enough.
Dylan on the 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all 3 are drawing live right now.
Yeah.
It just depends on who gets the win. Right now, I'd be pretty happy if I were Lucas, because the 11 horses, the horse we thought might go with her with the blinkers on didn't break again. So it's looking pretty good right now for Lucas. Precious Baby starting to make the move, but I think that horse needed to be a little closer early on.
Yeah. So 5 is out of there. So the 7, and now coming up the inside there is the 2 Active Serendipity, who is up into 3rd, and looks like we'll get up in the 2nd here. But it's all Ancient Peace right now.
Unless she hits the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe she hits the wall. The 2's coming, but man, big lead.
10-length lead here. So
yeah, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, and look at the jock. Jock's just They paid $650,000 for her, and it's looking like she's a very interesting prospect. And Lucas Van Zandt is going to take it here.
12 goes second for
12 goes second.
Anthony, so he's second. And that's
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that just shows you why it's such a huge advantage to be in the lead in these contests. I mean, if Anthony had a dollar more than Lucas, he probably wins the contest because he could be on that horse. So.
Yep. Ancient Peace is going to pay $360 to win, and then even though Chloe's Crown will get a little bit of place money, it's not going to be enough to overturn anything. So Lucas.
But Paul Sherman will move ahead of at least Dylan. Probably that's it. He might move up one spot.
Yeah, one spot.
And that's, other than that,
that's the difference between 7,655 and 9,568.
So he made $1,500 or whatever on that move. Seeing if anybody else moved up. A couple people played that 11 horse to move up. David Tunnan at 15th probably did. It was probably a smart move. He probably passed up 3 or 4 other people. I'm not sure how much that improves his earnings, but he'll move up a little.
Yeah, David was in 15th, and 15th would pay him $3,827. If he gets in the 12th, he'll move up to $5,741 for his efforts.
Well, he'll get into 12th at least. He might even move up to 11th.
Well, 11th is the same thing as 12th. Okay. According to what I wrote down. But he'll move up marginally and pick up, I guess, a few more points if you're playing for the points part of what I mentioned earlier with the Tourney Triple. But Lucas Van Zandt is going to be our winner here.
$150,000 richer.
Yeah, $153,090 for first, $61,236 for second. Third is $30,618. Fourth, $22,964. Fifth, $19,136. Sixth place, $17,223. Seventh, just over $15,000. Eighth is just over $13,000. Ninth, 9,500 and change. 10th, 7,655. 11th and 12th, 5,741. 13th through 15th, 3,827. And 16th through 20th, 2,000. And then the day money, as we mentioned before, a little over 10,000 for the day 2 leader. But Ancient Peace, it's official. And once we get the prices up, we'll update our leaderboard. I just wait for the, even though it's made official, sometimes you just got to wait for Tote System to catch up, and then we will be able to put a bow on this, if you will.
Lucas did not have to sweat much on that either. The horse looked like the winner from the time the gate opened to the, throughout the race. It never looked like he had any serious threat. He was in a different race from the other horses. So if you're going to have to sweat out the final race for $153,000, that's the kind of race you want to have, right?
Yeah.
When your horse runs that race.
Absolutely. And there it is. Lucas Van Zandt, $240.74 is your winner of the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com. Anthony Matera second, $235.88. Lucas Van Zandt takes home the $153,090 first place prize. Second, Anthony Matera, $61,236. And Jim Settle's been very happy. Didn't have a bullet there for the last couple, and held on for third, and that's a $30,000 payday. If we can bring up the day 2 leaderboard, see if there was any change there. Like to show handicappers who are playing in the contest and anyone else how good. But it looks like I'm being told it's going to be a few minutes before it's going to be updated. But that will be on the website. On HorseTourneys.com, in case we don't get to it before we sign off on this webcast on YouTube. Chris, any final thoughts? It was a great day of racing, a lot of big Derby preps, and a lot of great racing. Early on in our contest, a lot of big long shots, so players can't complain, even though, last couple races, 2 of the last 3 races got taken off the turf when they didn't expect it. But when you got all those prices, you certainly had the opportunities early on to make a move on the leaderboard. And Lucas Van Zandt with an impressive total and taking on the big prize.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll let you talk about the day leaderboard first.
There you go. Stephen Meyer was first, 195.20. Thomas second. Stephen Meyer takes home a little over 10,000 for the day money on the day 2 leaderboard. Top 4 finishers. Lucas will add another $1,000 to his $153,090 for finishing 4th on the day 2 leaderboard. So, Chris, final thoughts on the afternoon, and as I mentioned, lots of Kentucky Derby preps from across the country, a lot of great racing, some big long shots in the day 2 races, and just a great day of racing.
Yeah, and it was a little bit unfortunate what happened at the end, but the players who managed to assert themselves a little earlier on were in a good position late, and they played it the right way, and they got the right results. And not only does Lucas win almost $160,000, but he's another $1 million bonus baby for the 3rd leg of the series. We have 2 people that'll have a shot at $1 million bonus.
Yes, Lucas will now have a shot, as well as David Wolf, who won the FloCal Face-Off earlier this year. He'll also be eligible for the $1 million bonus. Taking down 2 of the 3 legs in the Tourney Triple makes you eligible for that $1 million bonus. And as I mentioned, the 3rd leg is the Spa and Surf Showdown, which will take place on August 5th and 6th on HorseTourneys.com. Will be Del Mar and Saratoga, so big racing from coast to coast in that 2-day contest, the Spa and Surf Showdown, the next and final leg of the Tourney Triple. So that's going to do it for this webcast on YouTube. Want to thank our men behind the scenes, Ryan and Matt. Eric
Thanks,
Wing.
Matt. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, seamless performance behind the scenes. We appreciate that. Want to thank Eric Wing, McKay Smith as well. And for Chris Larmey, this is Bill Downs signing off. Congratulations to Lucas Van Zandt, winner of the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com.